Hey everybody, Bucho here with another episode of Storytime with me. I'm hoping to give you 3 episodes that are more Halloween themed from authors who have written some really interesting, terrible, psychologically thrilling kinds of narratives. 2 of whom I've gotten to meet and see read live. The first of whom is Matt Bell. This is his story collection, How They Were Found, which is just, it is a phenomenal collection. It's very dark, it's super weird, it's very experimental, and it's one of the earliest influences on me that got me thinking about writing in some more out of the box ways in order to tell a story. This book is very special to me in that way. Tonight I'm going to be reading a story. It's going to be the last story in the book, called An Index of How Our Family Was Killed. And the fun aspect of this is that there are 26 sections of the story, and each one correlates to a letter of the alphabet. So he starts with the letter A, then the letter B, letter C, so on and so forth. And even if he uses the same phrasing for a little bit in every particular section, which you'll see, even that is alphabetized. So it's alphabetized down to the granular level, which is really impressive. So without further ado, here we go. A brother, a father, a mother, a sister. A family to begin with. A family, whatever that is. A list of evidence compiled in alphabetical order rather than in order of importance, rather than in the order in which I gathered these clues. A message left on my answering machine and never deleted. My sister's voice telling me she's okay, that she's still there. Absence of loved ones never diminishing no matter how much time has passed. Accidents happen, but what happened to us was not an accident. Acquittal, but not for them and not for us. Alarms that failed to go off, that have never stopped ringing in my ears. Alibis, as in, everyone's got one. Ambulances that never arrive in time to save anyone. An index, a collection of echoes, each one suggesting a whole only partially sensed. Arrest, to bring into custody. Arrest, to bring to a stop. Autopsy, as a means of discovering the cause of death. Axe, as possibility. Also other sharp objects, other combinations of handles and blades. Ballistics, as method of investigation. Blood scrubbed from the floor of bedrooms and bar rooms and hospital beds, sometimes by myself, more often by others, by strangers, by men and women in white clothes, unaffected by the crime at hand. Brother, memory of. Once my brother and I built a fort in the woods behind our house by digging a pit and covering it with plywood. Once we put the neighbor kid down in that pit and covered the hole. Once we listened to him scream for hours from the back porch, where we ate cookies and milk and misunderstood what it was we were doing wrong. Brother murdered. Murdered by a woman, a wife, his wife, the wife he had left but not divorced. Who he had left for another woman, a woman who could not protect him even with a house clasped tight with locks. Murdered in his sleep with a blade to the eye. Murdered beside his new woman who woke up screaming and didn't stop for days. Bruises so black I couldn't recognize her face, couldn't be sure when I told the coroner that yes, this is my mother. Bullets, general, fear thereof. Bullets specific, one lodged in my father's sternum, another passing through skin and tissue and lung, puncturing his last hot gasp of air. Bullets specific, pieces of lead, twin mushrooms clattering in a clear film canister. Sometimes I shake them like dice, like bones, but when I pour them out onto my desk they tell me nothing, their prophecy limited to that which has already come. Call me once a day just to let me know you're still safe. Call me X if you have to call me anything at all. Camera, fear of, need for. To document the bodies, to show the size and location of wounds, to produce photographs to explain the entry and exit points of weapons. Car accidents, as in, it is easier to say that it was a car accident than to tell our friends what really happened. Caskets, closed. Control, impossibility of. Crimes, solved. Murders of father, mother, brother. Crimes, uncommitted and therefore as yet unsolved. Murder of sister, murder of self. Curse as possible explanation. Do not ask for assistance. Do not associate with one-armed men, men with tattoos, men with bad teeth or bad breath or dispositions. Do not answer the phone. Do not be the messenger, for they are often shot. Do not believe everything you hear. Do not break down on the side of the road. Do not call out for help. Yell fire instead. It will not save you, but at least there will be witnesses. Do not cheat at cards or darts or pool. Do not cheat on your spouse. Do not cross the street without looking. Do not date, no matter how lonely you get. Do not disagree with people with loud voices or short fuses. Do not discuss religion or politics. Do not drink in bars. Do not dress in flashy or revealing clothes. Do not ask for it. Do not fight for custody of your children. Better they see you one weekend a month than in a casket. Do not fly in airplanes. Do not forget that you are destined for death, that your family carries doom like a fat bird around its neck, that it is something you will never be rid of. Do not forget to set the alarm when you leave the house, when you go to sleep at night. Do not fuck around. Do not get divorced. Do not get in fights in bars or otherwise. Do not get married. Do not go looking for trouble. Do not go outside at night or during the day. Do not go skinny dipping in dark ponds with anyone. Do not hire a private detective. They may find what you are looking for, but they will also find out about you. Do not hitchhike or pick up hitchhikers. Do not have acquaintances. Do not have friends. Do not hope too much. Do not leave trails of breadcrumbs showing which way you have gone. Do not leave your phone number written in matchbooks or on cocktail napkins. Do not linger outside of buildings. Do not smoke or wait for buses or cabs. Do not look back when you should be running away. Do not love a man with a temper. Do not love men at all, or women either. Do not make enemies if you can help it. Do not meet strange men or women you find on the internet in coffee shops or bars or motels. Do not play with fire. Do not pray for salvation, for protection, for deliverance. Do not push your luck. Do not put your trust in security guards, in the police arriving on time. Do not raise your voice in anger. Do not sleep for as long as you can avoid it. Do not smoke marijuana, as you are paranoid enough already. Do not take any drugs at all. Do not take shortcuts. Do not take the same way home twice. Do not telegraph your punches. Do not telephone home and say you'll be out all night. Do not think that not doing any of these things will be enough to save you. Evidence as symbol of a crime committed, of a deed done. Evidence locked away in locked cabinets inside locked rooms. Evidence not harmless even behind all those locks and doors. Ex-wives as likely suspects. I, as in keep an eye out, as in keep your eyes peeled. I, as point of entry, as wound. Eyewitnesses reliable enough for the courts, but not for me. They never tell me what I need to know. F, tattooed on my left bicep, the first initial of a father lost. Family as in mother and father and brother and sister and me. Family as something broken and lost. Family as something destroyed by external forces, deadly as tornadoes, destructive as wildfires. Fate as explanation, as probable cause. Father, memory of. Always I see my father walking outdoors. I see him shutting the door to my bedroom, refusing to leave the light on, even after he gave me something to be afraid of. I see him shutting the car door, locking me in for delirious summer hours while he drank, sitting near a window so he could keep an eye on me. I see him walking out the front door of our house, suitcase in hand, vanishing forever. Father, murdered, gunned down by a complete stranger outside a bar in Bay City, Michigan. They had not been fighting, nor had they even spoken, at least according to the murderer. This murderer, he said he didn't know why he did it, why he felt compelled to pull the pistol out of his jacket and shoot my father dead. We didn't know either. We hadn't talked to our father in 5 years. Didn't even know he was still in Michigan, waiting to be killed. Fingerprints are hard to get a hold of, but not impossible. I have spent a fortune to get these cards, these 5-fingered imprints of the men and women who have torn my family to shreds. I have placed my own fingers over theirs, but they do not match. I am not accountable, at least not in this most surface of ways. Fingerprints. Once you know your own, you can dust your house, can prove that no one has been there but you. Fire, as possibility, since it did not claim any of the others. Forensics, as method of investigation. Girlfriend, brothers, calls over and over, crying into the phone. One reason to get caller ID. Guardian angels, non-existent as far as I can tell. Gunpowder, smell of. My father's face when I bent down to kiss him in his coffin. Hair samples stored in plastic bags inside folded manila envelopes, labeled with name, date, relationship, fragile, dangerous to handle. Her, the only one of them that remains. Her, who has separated herself from me, for her safety, for my own. History, familial, patriarchal and matriarchal. This is not just us, not just my mother and father and brother and sister and myself. This is uncles killed in poker games and aunts smothered in hospitals. This is babies exposed in vacant lots and brothers holding sisters under water until the ripples stop. This is history as an inevitable, relentless tide. History of an event, of a series of events. History, personal and also partial, as in this index. Hospital, the place we were born, the place we go to die, the place we will be declared dead. Identity, as in, can you identify this body? As in, is this the body of your father, mother, brother? Identity, as in, if I could identify my sister's future killer, could I stop her murder from taking place? If I can't have him, no one can. Words overheard but ignored, a lesson about the importance of warning signs. Index as excavation, as unearthing, as exhumation. Index as hope, as last chance. Index as how to find what you are looking for. Index as method of investigation. Index as task, as thing to be completed before I die. Index as time capsule, as guide to understanding the collected evidence of a life, of a history, of a family tree. Index as understanding, however incomplete. Inevitability as a likely end to this story. Insurance policies, as in, good luck getting one if you're me. They never tell you that being from a family of murder victims is a risk factor, but it is. J, tattooed on the inside of my right wrist, first initial of a brother lost. Jars for holding each organ individually after they are weighed and categorized and examined for meaning. Jars full of brains and livers and hearts. They will not give these to me, no matter how persistently I ask. Knife as weapon, if you hold it right. Like being torn from the arms of the father, like being wrenched from the bosom of the mother, like closed caskets, like graves all in a row, like the last two plots waiting to be dug out and then filled in. Loss of limbs is less important to those who will not survive than those who have to see what is left. Love as necessity. Love not nearly enough. Luck as in bad luck for all of us. Madness, temporary, blinding. Manslaughter implies that what happened was a mistake. In my family, we do not believe in manslaughter. Memory, doing the best it can. Memory, failing to do enough all by itself. Memory, inconsistent, remembering the wrong events, seeking insignificance and signs where probably there are none. Memory, when my mother, brother, and sister and then I went off to school, my mother gave us each a St. Christopher's medallion. When she placed mine around my neck, she told me it would protect me, that it would keep me safe from accidents, from accidental death, as if that was all we had to worry about. Mirror, the only place I see my father's hairline, my mother's nose, my brother's ears, my sister's thin, frightened lips. Mother, memory of. Lonely before he left, then worse after. There were men with good jobs and men with no jobs, men with tempers and men with appetites, men who were kind to us and men who used us as punching bags, as whipping posts, as receptacles for all the trash they carried inside themselves. Of all those who have failed to protect our family, she was only the first. Mother, murdered. Died strapped into the passenger seat of a car, unconscious from a head wound from a wound to the head. I have heard it said both ways. Her boyfriend, a man she started dating after our father left but before he was dead, thought he had killed her with his fists, but he was wrong. It was the drowning after he dumped the car that did it. Motives are almost the opposites of alibis, but not quite. Mugshots, 1, 2, 3, all in a row on the wall of my office, a reminder of who they were. My brother's dog, which I take care of but do not trust. He failed to bark in the night once before, and he could do it again. Mystery, unsolved even after all this investigation. Nothing as inevitable as an ending. Nothing impossible to index, to quantify, to explain. Overprotectiveness is something you learn, but always too late. P, tattooed on the left side of my neck, first initial of a mother lost. Persistence of fate, of karma, of destiny, of a wheel turning and turning, crushing whatever falls beneath its heel. Phones, both answered and unanswered, bearers of bad news. Phones ringing and ringing and ringing. Photographs, blown up and then cropped until the wounds disappear beyond the borders of the frame. Photographs mailed to me from Michigan of my father's body, as unrecognizable as the distance between us. Photographs of crime scenes, always the same series of angles repeated for each murder. Photographs of my brother, dead before he could scream. Photographs of my brother's eye, of the knife wound left where it used to be. Photographs of my brother's lips pressed together in sleep, then death. Photographs of my mother's face, bruised and broken. Photographs of my mother's teeth on the floor of the car. Photographs of our family of 5, and then of 4, and then of 3. There are no photographs of our family of 2. We do not gather. We do not congregate. Photographs plastered like wallpaper until all I can see from my desk are familiar clavicles and jaw lines and hands placed palms up to expose 2 short lifelines. Police, as in, I have had my fill of the police. Poison, a possibility. Must prepare my own food, avoid restaurants, parties, buffets, and potlucks. Premeditation as way of life. Prevention, see good fucking luck. Questions, how can there not be questions? Risk. Always there is the risk that at any moment one wrong word or action might bring upon we who are left what has already been brought to bear on those who are gone. Rope. There are so many cruelties that can be done with rope that it is hard to know what to be afraid of. Search party. Looking for my mother before we knew she'd gone through the surface of the lake. Sister, memory of. Happy in the 4th grade when she won the school spelling bee. Happy at her confirmation when God promised to protect her forever. Happy at my brother's wedding, dancing the polka. Happy, 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 until she wasn't happy anymore or ever again. Sister, survivor. She has tried to live a life free of dangers. She follows every rule, every instruction, takes every precaution. She does not talk to strangers, either men or women. She does not talk to children or babies. She does not pet dogs or hold cats or touch any other small domestic animals. In her purse she keeps both mace and pepper spray, but she never walks anywhere. She has a taser in her glove box, but never drives. If she walks or if she drives, then she will die. If she rides in cars with others, then they too will die because she is with them. There are no knives or forks or shovels or tire irons in her house. She does not answer her phone or check her email or open her door ever, even if it is me knocking. She has done everything she can, but it will not be enough. I have not seen her in months, but that does not mean I believe she is safe. Sooner or later my phone will ring, and then I will know that she too is gone. Sometimes I go to department store perfume counters and spray my mother's scent onto a test card. In the back of my wallet are dozens of these now scentless things, marked only by the splotch stained across the white cardstock. Sometimes I think of my father without realizing he's gone, my heart numb as an amputee's fingers, as a lost hand trying to pick up a telephone over and over and over. Sometimes while I'm petting my brother's dog, I have to stop myself from hurting it, from punishing it for its failure to bark, to warn, to save its owner's life. Strangulation as possibility. To be that close to the killer, to see his eyes, to feel his breath, to press my windpipe against his grip. After all I have endured, after all I have imagined, this is one of the most satisfying ways I can see to go. This is a way that at least one question might get an answer. Survivor, but probably not for long. Tattoo of my sister's first initial, eventually to be inked but not yet necessary. Tattoos as reminders, as warnings, as expectations of loss. The sound of a black bag being zippered shut. The sound of a brother comforting a brother, ignorant of the doom between them. The sound of a bullet making wet music in his organs. The sound of a car breaking the surface of a lake. The sound of a confession taped and played back. The sound of a gunshot reverberating, echoing between concrete facades. The sound of a knife clacking against bone. The sound of a message played over and over until the tape wears thin. The sound of a phone going unanswered. The sound of a police siren, of multiple sirens responding to multiple events. The sound of a sentence heard 3 times. That means loss. That means murder. That means another taken from me. The sound of a sister crying and crying. The sound of a sister saying goodbye, saying that this will be the last time you will see her for both your sakes. The sound of a woman screaming for hours. The sound of an alarm ringing. The sound of sirens, a Doppler effect of passing emergency. The sound of testimony, of witnessing. The sound of words left unsaid. Things that never were and things that never will. Understanding as in lack thereof. Vengeance but never enough, always state-sanctioned, always unsatisfying. Victim is a broad term, a generalization, an umbrella under which we are all gathered at one time or another. Violations of the law symbolize violations of the person, of the family, of the community. This is why they must be punished. We regret to inform you. We regret to inform you. We regret to inform you. What it takes to cut yourself off. What it takes to defend your family. What it takes to hide forever. What it takes to kill a man. What it takes to see this through to the end. What it takes to solve the crime. What it takes to take back what is yours. Why, as in, why us? Witness, general. Witness, specific. The other men and women who were with my father that night, plus the other people who were walking down the street when the shots were fired. The bartender and 2 waitresses, plus the policeman who arrived on the scene. I have interviewed them all myself, months later, after the conviction of the killer. The crime already solved, but not yet understood. Wound as in bullet hole, as in burn, as in puncture, as in slashing, as in fatal. X, as in to solve for X, as in to complete the equation. X tattooed on my chest above the heart. X that calls out to he who will commit this deed, to she who might end all that I am. X that marks the spot. X that will come to be. X which could stand for absolutely nothing. Y, the shape of an autopsy scar zippering the chest of a loved one. Y, the sound of the question I cannot answer. Y, the sound of the only question worth asking. You, reading this. You. Yes, you. You, and you. You may not know you yet, or maybe you always have felt the fist of the deed clenched in your heart for years. Please do not wait any longer. I am tired of the fear, tired of the anticipation, tired of the day after day after day. 0 as brother, 0 as father, 0 as identity, 0 as memory, 0 as mother, 0 as name, 0 as self, 0 as silence, 0 as sister, 0 what will remain. Matt's got a lot of other books out, and I will link to as many of those as I possibly can because he is a phenomenal writer, and you can find him on Twitter as well. I believe it's at Matt Bell, believe it or not, something that simple. I will also put a link up to that as well. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, I'll have another episode up shortly for you. Thanks.